I'm the senior pastor here at Lincoln Avenue Baptist Church, and it is our privilege and honor and joy to open our doors for this town hall meeting tonight. We want to be a church that is involved and invested in our community, and something that has affected you greatly needs to be discussed. And so thank you also for coming and being part of the discussion. Before we turn the proceedings over for the discussion tonight, I would like to lead us in a word of prayer. So if you would bow with me, we'll begin with prayer. Kind and gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we love you. We praise you and thank you for this day that you've given us this opportunity to come and to be in this place with a group of people that have been hurt in some ways, God. We ask that you would lead our discussions, that you would guide our hearts, and that everything that's done here this evening would be glorifying and edifying to you and would help those in this community. God, we love you and we praise you and thank you. In the name of Jesus, our Lord and Savior. Amen. At this time, I'll turn the proceedings over. Rob, thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. I want to thank everybody for attending tonight. A little bit. We can't hear anything. Okay. I want to thank everybody.
It's not on.
Nope, it's not on. Okay.
It wasn't on for him either.
Wasn't on for him either.
Just get it.
It's not on.
You got it, Jess?
No, go ahead. Okay. I want to thank you.
It's not on.
Not on. It is on?
Oh, yeah. You can hear the reverberation from it. It might still be low.
Can you turn it up a little bit louder?
We're old people, you know.
Speak for yourself.
I want to thank everybody for coming here tonight through all this miserable weather and everything. I hope that I can be real informative for you folks and let you know where we've come so far, but I just want to kind of go over things real quickly for the people that attend and don't really realize what's all going on. What's going on here? They don't realize what's going on. Some of the people here probably, hopefully they do, but I just want to fast go over this about what's happened to all of us. So I'm going to start off by letting everybody know that Prairie Knolls, our rent is gone. Yeah, okay. And Prairie Knolls, as you know, our lot rent has gone to $365 starting August 1. Up to now, we've been paying anywhere from $230 a month to high as $260 for the larger lots. So there's some for $230, $40, $50, and $60. So the $230s, that increase, should have that in front of me, huh? Okay, well, all right, here it is. I want to get these numbers right. Okay, so the $230s a month, this is a 58.7 increase on the smaller lots at $230. At $260, there'll be a 40.38 increase. But that's terrible numbers. However, there are numbers even worse. I'll let someone else who lives there give you that information. So what I'm here to tell you is some of the rights that we have and so forth, and who I've talked to. I've been around talking to quite a few people. Actually, Channel 20 was going to be here tonight, but they couldn't make it because of that bad storm. I guess things were worse in Springfield than they were here. But they called me at the last minute and said sorry they couldn't make it, but they would like to interview me at a later date. So, but anyway, I found out a lot of things. I found out, for instance, I just got this literature not too long ago, but some of the seniors are actually able to get deferred on this increase. If 45% of their income, whatever it might be, Social Security, whatever, if 45% of it is what it takes to pay for this rent, you can be deferred. Of course, you'll have to bring tax papers and stuff like that, which is, I wish I could do that, get that deferred, but I don't meet that. So, but anyway, That's one of the things. The other thing is, I've been talking to a lot of politicians, including our mayor, and he said he was deeply moved by all this, and he would try to help us out. And I mentioned to him, because I found out what has to be done to really accomplish this. If they don't want to, bargain with us and compromise with us, this is what we're going to have. We need two things. We need an attorney, and he can be even a retired attorney. And we need a judge. And that definitely could be retired. I know that for sure. Could be a retired judge. Now, the mayor says he knows two lawyers that might take the case on pro bono. I talked to the state's attorney here in Jacksonville, Prairie, and he knows a couple of judges that used to do some pro bono work, So there's a good chance we've got this, to get, but there's a good chance we can get this done. Because if we can get a judge, he can put an injunction against them and stop it right in its tracks. And it could take them a long time to get rolling again, if at all. So that's what, my second thing is, I sent out all the petitions from both places, from Rolling Acres and Prairie Knolls. Yesterday, certified mail. I'm supposed to get there Saturday, so I figured Monday I'll be getting a call. And on those petitions, as you know, we offered them a 10% increase and a 2-year lease. So I thought, if we could even get, like, after the 2 years, another 10%, 2 more years, that's 4 years total. And it still doesn't bring it up too bad. If we go 6 or 8 years, then we're pretty much in their ballpark. So it gives us 6 to 8 years before we actually reach the numbers that they want to give us. And those numbers have changed. We have someone sitting here in the audience who just talked to this Yanni down in Fort Lauderdale. And she said that she's planning on selling her house and wanted to know, if someone buys a house, what would the rent be? Now this is something we've known, a couple of us have known for a while. She was quoted, the rent would be $450 for anybody that moves in. So we also have another gentleman right here who called and said, I got a 68 by 28, something like that, double wide, brand new home, and I noticed you had empty lots. Are any of those lots for rent? And this lady in Springfield with the Peoria phone number, she said, oh, definitely. We have some lots we can rent you. And he said, what would it run? I said, $450. That was 3 weeks ago. So we know what's coming. This $365 is only a starter. They don't really want to offer us a lease. And a few people from Rolling Acres I know have gone over there and asked for leases, and they said, no, it's a month to month. That's what they'd like to keep it, a month to month, until they get enough people signed up, and then they're going to increase it to $450. That's $5,400 a year. You go buy a lot, your own property, for that kind of money, and then it'd be yours. At least you'd have something to sell later on. But anyway, I would like a good friend of mine from the American Legion to cover what's going on in his neck of the woods, Rolling Acres. And I want to introduce him, Danny Davidson, the commander of the American Legion Post. And he has a few words to tell you. Thank you, Danny.
Thanks, Ron. Okay, how many Rolling Acre people do we have here? Aha. So word got around, I'm glad of that. Our situation is practically the same as Prairie Knolls. In my opinion, to be honest with you, Prairie Knolls is kind of the flagship of this company, this brand new corporation. And Rolling Acres is a mile down the road, and we really don't want to talk about Rolling Acres because it's not double wide trailers and garages, and it's just a mobile home park for retired citizens. I made that walk when I found out about this. You know, supposedly, if you look at the state laws, and I got a copy of all that from one of the gentlemen that lives at Rolling Acres, state law says we're supposed to, anytime we're sold, we're supposed to know a year in advance. Well, I've been there since 1995, and I think we've been sold 3 times, and I don't even know who owned us in the beginning. I know who owns us now, but I didn't know who owned us in the beginning. 1995, I moved to Rolling Acres. I signed a contract. They gave me rules of the park. A gentleman come around twice a day. He looked the area over, and if you had something wrong, you got a little note in your mailbox, or he'd come to your door and said, fix this or fix that. You got 24 hours. You know, no boat trailers, no cars sitting on jacks, no trailer trucks, anything like that. He would come get you if your yard was mowed and his yard was mowed and the guy next to him wasn't, then we charged him $5 next month because they mowed your yard. They wanted everything to look nice. And the trailer park in 1995 was a very decent trailer park. It has went downhill considerably. A few people have taken pictures of different areas at Rolling Acres, and they're terrible looking. Okay, I try to keep my place up and keep it as clean as possible. Several people that are here, I know, I've seen the trailers keep a very nice lot. We have a few of them that are just, you know, going downhill. Our lot rent right now, mine, is $195 a month. It was raised a year and a half ago from $180 to $195. I did not feel that was a large increase because of economics. You know, this time it's going from $195 to $365. That is an 87% increase on my lot rent. The people living around the pond and the people at Rolling Acres know who I'm talking about. They pay I think $205 now, and they're going to $365. So that's going to be a 78% increase. So it kind of comes down to the humorous side is you can fish for $365, or you can live where I do for $365 and smell Hudson's horses, you know. So, I mean, it's all $365. I also look down toward the bottom of Rolling Acres. There's several new trailers sitting down there that are very well kept. Those people are paying, I think, $460 something now because they're buying their trailer plus their lot rent. There's several deals going on at Rolling Acres that I have no idea about. People I went around and talked to that came from across the street that had a 2-year contract with Jess for $175 a month, and now they're getting a letter saying, no, you owe us back rent because we took over and blah, blah, blah. We've got people that have subleased a trailer, which is not supposed to be done. There's people living in other people's trailers, which is not authorized. Supposedly, you're supposed to go through the management before you sell your trailer, and whoever moves in there has to be verified, and blah, blah, blah. Well, that doesn't happen. Across the street from me is a trailer that's been sitting there 2 years with the front door open. The deck's about, that far away. It's been there 2 years. Nobody lives in it. I went to the website. They want $520 a month for that. Or you can buy it for $5,000 and pay $365 lot rent. I've had a couple of people call me and text me that they have tried to buy. One lady tried to buy a 3-bedroom trailer from this company that's at Rolling Acres. She got 4 different people, 4 different prices, from $700 to $1,000 difference. And she said, well, we'll buy it and move it. And they said, no, you have to leave it on the lot. Well, I don't think legally they can do that, but I don't know. Another couple that I talked to went down and talked to Jess. He knew nothing about what was going on. 10 minutes later, he did know what was going on, and he had expressed that he had told this company that he sold out to spread this out over a long period of time. And so they kind of caught him in that, like, well, you didn't know 15 minutes ago what was going on. Now all of a sudden. I personally went and talked to Jess, and he is very sorry that this is happening to us. Even though he's sold the place to him, he's very sorry that this is happening, and it's not fair to us. But if you want to do something about it, call Yanni in Florida, which I called Yanni in Florida, and got no satisfaction there. I was told to talk to Jess. So I went back and I talked, Jess wasn't there, and I talked to his secretary, and I said, I'd like to have a lease. We're doing month to month. I said, well, I'm elderly, I'm a disabled veteran. People that live at Rolling Acres are very elderly, and a lot of them are living there, and that's going to be the last place they thought they was going to live. And we really need it to know that we've got a place to go or a place to stay for a couple of years anyway. And we'll take the petition I put across was 10%. We'll pay 10% more now. Show us some work being done. There's holes in the street that I think somebody drove off in it. I'm waiting for them to come out, but I know there's somebody in there because my neighbor's been gone for a week, so that he's in there. There is groundhogs that will eat you laying on people's front porch. It's really a mess, and it's a very nasty looking place right now, and it's really a shame that they're going to charge us $365 to live in a place that they're not going to fix it up. I'm sorry, I do not believe that these people are going to invest any money in fixing Rolling Acres up. What they're going to do is they're going to get our $365, they're going to make a fortune off of us, and if you don't want to stay, they basically have said, if you don't like it, leave. Well, a couple people checked on that. To move a double wide trailer from the corner of Rolling Acres is $5,000 per section. That's $10,000 just to hook on to it. That ain't taking it anywhere. If you're going to take it somewhere, you got to leave Morgan County or Sangamon County because they own everything. This company has bought Woodson, a couple in Springfield. And so we're at a standstill here. We're stymied, kind of. If we don't get somebody to represent us, to stand up for us and tell this company, you can't do this to these people. I've got a gentleman that has MS. I went and talked to him. He sent a letter to him over a month ago. Very nice letter. Did not say anything derogatory. Even told him, I hear you bought it, hope you do well, blah, blah, blah. But he has MS. He's wheelchair bound. He can't move. If he does, he's going to have to move someplace where he's going to be way out in the boondocks. He has a loan. The state of Illinois has given him an X amount of dollars to do his trailer to make it wheelchair capable, where he can get in and out of his bathtub and stuff like that. He can't go through with that because he don't know if he's going to be able to stay. He can't afford $365 on his fixed income. A lot of people are in worse shape than me. Okay, I'm not in that bad a shape. I retired as a paramedic for 30 years. I'm a disabled veteran. I get a disabled veteran pension, but still, it's going to keep going up. The national average for trailer homes is $475 a month. That's what they want. I know that's what they want. They want $475 a month. They've only been in business for a year in this trailer business. They've been in a lot of businesses. They own lots of businesses. In the paperwork it says it's foreign something. It's, well, okay, yeah, let me look at that. I was trying to be cool. many people at Rolling Acres got this letter from them about the lot rent? Okay, mine says it's Rolling Hills Mobile Home Estates, owned by Brando Management Service, welcoming us to us, telling us that our lot rent is going to go up and that the payment information was enclosed and that our regulations and park rules were enclosed. Only thing I got was a letter. No enclosed anything, and I don't know where this self-stamped addressed envelope went because I didn't get it either. But I did get a gentleman walk up to me and hand me a piece of paper that said your lot rent's going up to $365 August 1st. This came from Jeff Spradlin. There's 3 people that own this that have the power of this corporation, and here we go. That I just want to let you know what it is registered under. Kind of worries me. Apparently, this is owned by some gentleman in New York, but it says it's someplace else. Okay, it is, the company type is Foreign Limited Liability, and they started 7/24 of 2017, and their home state is Delaware, but all their people are in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And there's 3 people that are on it. Bender Neil Sy is his name, but then he placed it backwards and made it Neil Sy Bender, so it sounds better. Matthew W. Ring, and the registered agent is, I think there's a mic in here somewhere, wasn't there?
There's a Mike Smart.
Yeah, but he's in like Tallahassee, Florida. So the situation is, guys, I don't know what we're going to do. If we can't get our representatives, we can't get a lawyer, we can't get a judge to stand up for us and fight for us, we're in trouble. Because I know that it's going to go even higher, and the people that's living there now can just barely afford what they had. One lady told me, said, I just got used to writing a check for $195, now I got to try to write one for $365. And a lot of these people are on a very fixed income. One person makes $1,303 a month, Social Security. One lady's put her husband, who's a Korean vet, in the nursing home. She's living off of, what he has. She thought she was going to live her days out there. They're just story after story that people could tell what's happened to us. I've been in this town 68 years, and this is the first time, and I told the mayor that, this is the first time that I ever felt like somebody come into this town, a business, a corporation, or anybody, and is trying to make $1 million off the backs of poor people. Because they come in and they say, you're going to pay this or get out. We're not a community like Florida. People around here don't make $100,000 a year. Okay, a lot of people are on fixed income, public aid, a lot of housing kind of situation. And Rolling Acres, to me, was a place that was affordable, livable, good neighbors. I had no problem being there for 20 years until now. We get sold out and they say, give us money and we'll fix things up. Well, we shouldn't have to have things fixed up on our backs, okay? Make us pay more lot rent so that you can improve the area. I wrote him a letter and I asked for a 2-year lease. Yanni got back to me with another email and said, contact Jess Spradlin. I haven't talked to Jess because of this situation we got here. I want to see what's going to happen. I feel like we at least should have a 2-year lease, the same as what he's asking for, so that we know for 2 years that we've got a place to stay. If we want to go somewhere else, we can look for somewhere else. But right now, we can't. The rights in the mobile home as tenants through the state of Illinois is you have to receive a written 24-month lease unless agreed otherwise. So they have to offer us a lease, but they're not offering it. If we don't want the lease, we can go month to month, but they have to offer us a 2-year lease. Automatically renew a lease unless owner gives you a good reason in writing at least 30 days before your lease expires why you can't renew. Receive a written copy of all rules, regulations governing the park before you sign the lease, and receive notice at least 12 months, written notice, before you must move if the owner ceases operation of all parts of the park. Well, in my opinion, if you sell us, then you have ceased operation of that park. Somebody else is taking it over. I feel we should have known last year that this was going to happen. But, you know, I found about it 3 months ago. And the only reason why I knew that it happened is my next door neighbor said, what do you pay for rent? And I said, you know, $195. And she goes, well, mine's $465. And I said, well, you're buying your trailer. She said, yeah, but the lot rent's going up. The next day, boom, you know, I got the letter. Lot rent's going to $365 starting August 1st, $350 if you have it taken out of your checking account. But if you read the fine print on that, it says they can also take out anything that they feel needs to be taken care of. Like if they happen to, they could say, I mowed your yard. You can't prove they didn't. They can charge you $20 for that. That'll come out of your checking account. So I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen to us because we're just a small group and we don't have the money they have. So if we can't get somebody to represent us, then we're just, you know, kind of like mushrooms. We're getting fed all this stuff and we're in the dark about everything. So,
you know, I have to say that with all of this, the thing that really gets me is that we can't sell either. Nobody's going to buy now.
Exactly.
So you are definitely stuck no matter what you do.
Yep. And
You know,
if you leave, you
can't
still
get
have to
rid
pay
of
a
it.
lot rent.
All you can do is walk away from it.
Yeah.
That's
So,
what they hope you do.
Yep.
That's what they
and
hope you do.
would somebody else like to come up and voice their opinion? This is just my opinion about what's going on and Ron's opinion. If somebody else wants to speak on what their opinion is, I'm sure that people want to hear it. You know,
If you have what you got in it.
That's why you call Dave that.
Yes, he told me he knew they had to go out and pay for money.
So when you say,
That's what he offered for my home.
that's what you
Yeah. No, it's bourbon. You don't want to hear what I told him.
I know a couple of people talk to Jess about buying their houses. There's one here I'm looking at right now. And he offered $20,000, you know. But when he rents it, if he rents it, it's going to be he's going to get that $20,000 back in a year and a half. So he'll be getting the $20,000 that he paid for their house in a year and a half. He'll net that 20 grand.
He wouldn't even give us a figure, said you won't want to know what the timeout company would pay you. Of course, ours is older now. We've lived there 3 times, had bigger and older or younger, but he won't give me any satisfaction. I called the Florida number and she said I should talk to Jess.
Yeah.
And they, she said, we talked about this between the 2 of them, or 3 or whatever. And Jess doesn't talk like that.
Yeah, it's actually a waste of time talking to them because you only hear his lies. It's just like when we called Springfield. The first time I called Springfield, I said a little lie. I said, yeah, I'm out here at, what's that called, Prairie? Oh yeah, Prairie Knolls. And of course I know where I'm at, Prairie Knolls. I've been here 17 years. But here's what I told him. I said, yeah, I've got a home I'd like to move. And it looks like you got some nice big lots here. but I also found out that some of the people here are very unhappy. They just had a huge raise in their lot rent, and a lot of them are complaining that things have never been fixed. All the time they've been here, they put in requests, they have this and that. Oh yeah, we'll take care of that, don't worry about it. You know, especially if someone moves out of a house because he didn't fix it, and someone else moves in, he'll say, oh yeah, we're gonna replace the back porch, and yeah, we're gonna take care of this, and the new hot water heater, I know the stove isn't working properly, but needs a thermostat, we'll fix that. Never happens. And everybody's had these promises of things fixed, it never happens. Well, by the way, I want to mention, I have someone here that wants to talk to you folks, and he's got some good ideas. There's something that can't happen immediately, but here's what he's going to try to do, and I'm going to let him explain it to you. And this is C.D. Davidsmeyer, state rep for our district.
Yeah, I know I've heard a lot from a number of people about what's going on right now, and obviously, you know, I personally don't believe it's right how it's happening. I kind of look at this in a similar way. I was talking to somebody earlier this week, and I kind of look at this in a similar way of how, you know, the payday loan people move into poor neighborhoods and try to take advantage of people that way. And I've been pushing legislation on that, and I've been, you know, kind of held back from it by the powers that be in Springfield. But, you know, right now I've got staff in Springfield, our staff that's in charge of consumer protection, looking at what other states are doing, because this isn't unique to the state of Illinois. I know my grandparents lived in, you know, a senior trailer home community in Florida, and we went down to visit them for, shoot, I don't know, probably 15 years. And I'm sure with all the communities down there, I'm sure, you know, Arizona's got them, everybody's got them, and it seems like senior citizens tend to be a group that they try to take advantage of a little bit more easily with phone calls and scams and things like that. And so what I have is, right now our staff is looking into what opportunity there is to change the law to protect people in the future. Now, I know that doesn't affect us now. The difficult thing about where we're at now is you can only go based on what the current law says, right? While it may be wrong, while something may be unethical, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's illegal, right? And I am not an attorney, right? So I can't give legal advice. But what I would say is, if I was in your situation and I wanted a 2-year lease, I would send a letter to them saying, I am requesting a 2-year lease. And I would send it requiring a certified mail, requiring a signature, and that would be my first step, right? Now, that doesn't protect you against the $360 or the $450 or whatever they're charging for a new lot, but it would put some protections in for a couple of years to at least maybe hold back from future things.
Unfortunately, it would not, because in the Illinois law, they can stick in that lease what it's going to be the following year, and you're stuck with it.
You don't, yeah. And the tough thing is you don't.
A 2-year lease, things will stay the same for that 24 months. Not the way the Illinois law is written, if they can change it for 12 months.
And the tough thing
so
is,
$365 for a year and go to $450 for the next year.
And the hard thing is, with the current law, they can say, if you don't like it, you're welcome to leave, right? And that's not an option for everybody. It may be an option for some, but not everybody.
There's no place else in town to move. They bought everything.
Well,
and that's where, you know, people come to me and think that I can just, you know, wave a magic wand and fix it. And what we can do is change the law for the future. I can't change the law for the past. And that's the most difficult thing for me, because I see bad things happen all the time. I mean, all the time. You name it, it's happening. A lot of times we're able to help people work their way through it, but on something like this, I don't even know where to start. You know, we've talked about Lincoln Land, legal assistance, and things like that, but I wish I knew exactly where to go. And we can contact the Attorney General's office just to see if they have any options for us. In fact, that should have been probably one of the first things I thought of, and I apologize I didn't think that right off the bat, but been a lot of things trying to think on the fly and think what we can do to protect people from the huge increases that we've seen. So, like I said, I'm not an attorney, but I do understand, what we hopefully should do moving forward. We're getting ideas on what other states are doing, and unfortunately, we're not in session until after the election, right? Sometimes in Springfield, the election is more important than doing our job, which is frustrating. But I want you to understand that we can get this in the works and try to get something going. I have friends on the other side of the aisle that will help me with it, right? So these are things that often Republicans and Democrats kind of, separate from their parties and say, if we believe in this, let's move forward. So I'm happy to do that, and I'll continue to work with you. If you have any ideas or things that we can do moving forward, I'm happy to do it. But I'm kind of at a loss for word. You don't very often hear a politician at a loss for word, but I am, because I don't have the answer, and I wish I did. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Yeah, you have a question on?
Yeah, isn't this considered a monopoly by them buying up the whole area?
I doubt it.
Because monopolies are illegal. They're against the law. So if that would be considered a monopoly, there's another way to go at it.
If there's any other option as far as renting or buying ground, it would be not considered a monopoly. They would say you could go and they could say you could go to a farmer and buy an acre of land for $13,000, which makes it not a monopoly, right? Which is not feasible, but that would make it not a monopoly. But I understand what you're saying.
Do you have a counterpart in Sangamon County, Springfield?
I do.
Get with them, because they're pulling the same stuff over there too.
Okay.
They bought 4 parks over there.
Yeah, I'll talk
Grand
to
Valley
them.
Village is one I've had some contact with, and they've raised their lot rent from $385 to $405.
Okay, there's actually 2 in Springfield, so one Republican, one Democrat. And so I'll talk to them. As far as representatives, obviously there's senators as well, so.
What we really need, is we need a pro bono lawyer and a judge, like a retired judge, pro bono. Because we're hurting as it is, and we can't come up with the funds for a high-priced lawyer or anything like that.
Yeah.
So if you have any knowledge of anybody that might take our case, we need that. Now, I talked to the state's attorney, in fact, both. I contacted Springfield. I talked to the state's attorney this week. Great, yes. And he said that he's a criminal, he's in court all the time. However, his wife is a lawyer, and she's home on maternity leave. They just had a new one in their family. And he also suggested, both of them, that's what you need a judge. And he said, I know 2 judges that have done pro bono work in the past. I will contact them. So maybe I better say this on the state's attorney said that
thanks for coming
one here in Jacksonville, he mentioned to me that he has 2 judges that have done pro bono work in the past. The mayor also told me he has 2 lawyers that done the same thing. So I'm hoping that maybe 1 lawyer and 1 judge will get in touch with us, and maybe we can get the ball rolling and get an injunction. If we get an injunction, that stops them in their tracks, and we might be able to stall this thing for a heck of a long time. I also talked to the sheriff yesterday, Morgan County Sheriff, and I asked him, I said, hypothetical question, what if all of us refuse to pay the rent the increase, and we just pay them the old rent. Well, what would happen? We would be, what, 30-day notice to leave? And he says, wow. He said, they have a tough time doing that. He said, well, first of all, it'll be $25 per household. You got over 100 signatures? I said, yes. He said, oh, that's $2,500. That's nothing to these people. They're a drop in the bucket. They own 51 companies, most of them in New York and Florida. I think in North Carolina also they own some. But that's where they also own trailer parks, North Carolina. They own 4 or 5 of those. I've got the names of them, of all the parks. And they bought out 4 parks in Springfield. 2 of them they're going to get going right away, and the other 2, I don't know how long that's going to take to get it going. But the one of them was on 14th Street, so I can't see them coming up with $405 lot rent on 14th Street in Springfield. Yeah, that's like trying to get blood out of a turnip, I guess you'd say. But anyway, that's what we really need now. We need some legal help, and legal help would be a lawyer and a judge. So
let me just say, I can't volunteer other people's time. It's different. Do you have a question for me or for Ron?
For him.
Okay.
Did you have to read the name of the lawyer or the judge to do help? Because I don't think we can wait for them to come to us. I think we need to go to them.
well, I will check.
Any ideas who would go on?
I just talked. Thank you, the Representative Davidsmeyer. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
I just talked to him this week. I think it was Monday. Yeah, Monday. I talked to the state's attorney, and I also talked to the mayor. And the state's attorney said that he would contact them and see if one of them would be available, and he'd get back to me. I believe him. I believe him.
Correct. And I'm wondering if we did just pay our old, the previous lot rent, when we go to pay just pay our current lot rent, and we're buying our home, what can they do? I mean, they can say, move off the lot, then we can say, no, this is my home.
It would take, according to what the county sheriff told me, he said it would be a long ordeal to get that many people thrown out of their homes. But and he said you think it might even take a year or so to get that, because there'd be such an outrage for them to come in and just say, everybody, you got 30 days to get out. And if they did that, they're not selling any new houses right now. If they get rid of us, they have no money coming in. So, yes.
Shortly after they took over, they had an error. I had paid,
But I think there's an ordinance that you can't put new trailers.
I had paid my rent by check at the office and had my receipt. I've paid rent there for 15 years and never been late. I got a notice that I had a certified letter, and this was on a Saturday, so I didn't get to pick it up. Monday morning, Jess knocked on my door and said, you've gotten a notice, but don't bother even going to pick it up, it's a mistake. I did go and get the letter. The letter said that I was 5 days late and that I had a $50 fee because I was 5 days late, and that if I didn't pay the fee within 5 days, or the total amount within 5 days, that I was breaking my lease and would be evicted.
You don't have a lease.
I don't have a lease. I've never had a lease. And you can't evict somebody in 5 days. Besides, it's my house, not theirs.
I'd like to know, is there anybody here that was ever offered a lease?
I asked today for one. She told me it's in the legal department, they're working on it.
Yeah.
They're gonna need it.
Like the lady in Springfield said to me from Time Out Communities, every homeowner, I'd like to raise hands here, raise your hands if you were one of them. Every homeowner in your park, sir, at Prairie Knolls was visited by somebody from Time Out, and that they told them that they're going to make all these improvements and all that sort of stuff. And I said, you know, that's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard of. I've been around talking to people, and no one's ever seen anybody from that place. So, I mean, this is just some of the lies they tell us, constantly tell us lies. So you can't believe anything you say, but I give you one good bit of advice. I don't care if you pay by cash, but now they won't let you pay by cash because they don't trust Jess with the cash. Before, he took cash. In fact, there's someone out there here tonight. There's a renter here that pays every year by cash. And now they've added extra rent to the remaining. They owe extra rent to the remaining year for the increase. How nice is that? They paid for a whole year, locked it in at $250 it was, $250. So now he wants the difference between $250 and the $365 for that 12 months. Yeah, so, yes, sir.
So, we shouldn't pay the $365 on the first, because once you pay that first time, then you're stuck.
I agree.
Especially if you sign a lease, if they do.
Well, they don't give you no lease, we already know that. But if anybody pays the $365 or $350 or whatever it is in August, you're stuck. So don't pay it, right? And then deal with whatever comes.
We got a month yet. Let me get.
Well, I understand now. I'm just saying, let everybody, don't pay it, because if you pay it, you're stuck then, because you've already paid it once, so they're not going to let you back out of it after that.
I'm hoping two things that happen. One's, like I said, the lawyer and the judge. The other thing is, I sent them all of them signatures yesterday, certified mail, and I proposed that 10% increase. And after those 2 years are up, another 10% increase. And, you know, maybe another 2 years, 6 years down the road, another 10. That gives us all the time in the world to either move your house, which is very expensive. You know, just putting it on wheels is only a fraction of what's going to cost you. Because anywhere you go, they have codes. They might want footings and slab or totally bricked in, you know, blocks. So you got to buy a lot, and you got to get it all improved and inspected and all that stuff before you even put your home on it.
I was just making sure nobody pays
Yeah.
$365 in August, and we don't get.
Right. If we all did that, we would all be subject to eviction, but we're all subject to that anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Somebody paying, then we'll worry about that.
Right.
Once you pay the first time, you're done.
Right. You know, Jeff is supposed to be our manager.
Yes.
And I don't know why we don't hold him accountable for helping us or stepping up to the plate, because he takes their paycheck every week, but he's done nothing for anybody.
That's right.
So, I mean, why are we all going at him? He's just sitting back taking the paycheck.
Yeah. But I talked to Yanni, and she told me that he, you know, I read that letter that he was the manager.
Yanni told me that.
Yeah. And I said, you mean you are using him to be our manager? This guy's has mismanaged this thing for 19 years or something like that?
He has to take no responsibility whatsoever.
None.
He's taking none of all this, and I think we need to force him to step it up and take some responsibility since he's taking the paycheck.
You can't even find him anywhere now.
Oh, I know.
He's on vacation.
We need to find him.
What's the mayor gonna do? You said what the mayor's gonna do? Mayor.
The mayor.
Oh, the mayor.
What's he going to do? Is he saying anything specific what he's gonna do?
He invited me to Monday night, this last Monday night, to a meeting. They have a meeting twice a month, I guess, on Mondays. And a bunch of people were there, you know, and they all thought it was ridiculous what's going on. But he said he would try to get us a lawyer, probate, you know, for pro bono.
Isn't there an ordinance that you can't put your trailer on a lot in town? They don't want a trailer on a lot. So the city council can tell this company, here's what we're going to do. We're going to assess your property out there, tax you at a rate that you won't believe, take the extra tax money and reimburse the people out there for the rent.
That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to force everybody out. That's what they're trying to do.
I'm saying the city can tax that company, saying we're going to reassess your properties and tax you at a rate that you won't believe, and then take the extra money and give it to the residents to reimburse them for the lot rent.
Right.
And they just increase the rent. They would just increase the rent if the city tried to do that. So that won't work.
No, I wish I had better news for you. I don't at this point. Yes.
Once we made that check out to this, whatever our rent was, the first month that we made the check out to this new company, we accepted that even though we weren't informed, because we are supposed to know what's going on in our property. That's what the law says.
Right.
So that they can say it was month by month. They gave us 3 months notice. The law also says that.
That's the legal thing they have to do, a 90-day notice.
So we got the 3 months notice. And yes, if we don't pay, I'm telling you folks, this is a big company and they don't care. We're a bunch of seniors with fixed incomes and people that are single parents with kids that are living in a very small space in their big world. And they don't care about us. And we will give 5-day eviction notice on our door.
They have to give you 30-day eviction notice.
5 days.
But I got the legal documents from Land of Lincoln, the complete stack here, and it says a 30-day eviction notice is a state law. So you got 25 more days. Whoopee.
They will evict us. And if they take out half the folks out there, they don't care because there's going to be some such law. And I include myself in that. We pay more for our lot rent than we do for our home.
Right.
We live in a bigger house on the west side of Jacksonville. And I can't do stairs. We thought we'd move out there because the reputation of the community was so well. It's so good. We've got good neighbors, and there's one out there, but you always have one in the bunch. And we're all seniors. On our street alone, there's 4 homes if you count the one on that street for sale. How fast do you think we can sell those things? This is in the community now.
I know, I'm with you on that.
They only picked us. They don't care.
On your 30-day notice, that is on real estate property. It is not on mobile home lots. It is different in the state of Illinois, and they can do a 5-day notice.
I worked for a mobile home owner in Lincoln, Illinois, and I did do 5-day notices to move.
I would say, Ron, it's in that green brochure I think, and it says 5 days.
5 days on a green brochure. Okay. That green brochure also has that other.
Those people, were they renters or did they own their home?
They rented the lot like me too.
And you gave them 5 days to move their home and themselves out.
The person I worked for was an attorney also. And it was 5-day notice.
No wonder people are trying to leave this state. Yeah, you can't blame
Really?
them. You can't blame them.
At this time, from the First Presbyterian Church, I guess it is, I'd like to have Jonathan, who's in charge of his church. So here he is.
Thank you, Ron. Hi there. I'm Reverend Jonathan Warren from First Presbyterian Church, and I had read the article just a few weeks ago. I think you all had received notices much earlier, and it didn't feel right. And I'm sorry for you all. And just to give you a little bit of information from my family, my mom lives in Florida, and they live in a mobile home park, and she's on a fixed income, and just to get 90 days notice is not enough time. It's just not fair. It may be the law, but it is not right. And so I guess that's what touched me. So I called up Ron and a few other folks, and he met with me probably the day after. You have a few folks who are doing a lot of work on the ground, and he needs your help, because obviously you all are invested in this one way or the other. And so the more that you come to things like this, the better. And so I encourage you, anytime there's a city hall meeting, I think if you all showed up, that would say something to folks. So I just wanted to tell you, I've been telling some other pastors, we have 10 folks who are, and chaplains in town who care, who are praying for you, who are concerned about this as well. And so my suggestion is, do not be quiet. Tell any and every group you're part of. If you're part of a biker group, if you're part of the Masons, if you're part of a church, you need to tell your elders and your pastor. The more people who know about this, I think the better. Tell, if there's 100 people who show up at the mayor's door, I mean, I think it matters. And then if that even gets beyond you all, there are folks who are touched, who care, and this affects our whole town. And so it unfortunately affects you right now. And so we can't be quiet. We can't let this happen. And so I encourage you to keep telling folks, and ask your pastor to pray, and also to advocate for you. And then I also think we need to make sure to keep meeting, because we do need Channel 20 to come. We do need to keep communicating so that we know what's happening. I know that'll take time for you all, and I know your time is precious, and you all have jobs, and you all have family commitments, and you have so many other things to do. But the more you keep meeting, it might get media attention, and the more media attention, it can get a lot of pressure. People won't necessarily buy places there. That can add to pressure. And then the more people you tell, there might be a judge or a lawyer or someone who has connections, a nephew, a cousin, a brother. You never know who you're going to tell, who might be able to do pro bono work or be able to hear your voice. And then I also encourage you to go to the city council meeting. Not just 1 or 2 or 3. If you all go to the city council, even if one person speaks, that says a whole lot to the aldermen, to the mayor, to other folks. If you get your friends to go, if you get your pastor to go, if you can get your groups to go, it just says that it's not just you all that are affected, that there's other people standing up for you. And so you need to use those communities, those friendships, those neighbors, whatever you have to your advantage, and And the more people who know about this, I'm guaranteed the more who will be affected, because they'll be lifting you up in prayer, and they will be willing to speak for you and advocate for you, and I don't know how good of advice those things are, but I do think each, those are 3 things that I can share. And if we can get other folks who have 3 better ideas, then we can start getting even closer. And so the more you meet like this, the more you share this news, the better. The more you pray about it, the more people get touched by this. If you are angry, you have every right to be angry, but use that anger to change this. It doesn't necessarily help if you use that anger to push someone down or to be angry about the situation. Use that anger so that you can share why you're angry. Use your power. You all have a lot of power. You might not feel like you have that, but you have the ability to share this and to make your voice heard, because it affects this whole community. I thank you for letting me have a time to talk, and I am praying for you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, one other thing. Channel 20 was going to be here today. The guy told me he was coming, and then about a half hour or so, 40 minutes before I came here, I got a call from Channel 20, and I guess that storm really tore things up over there. And so the lady told me that he won't be coming. But she said, we still would like to have an interview with you possibly. I said, let's do it. How about Monday? So I'm going back to Channel 20 Monday, and they're going to do this thing, okay? I won't have all you people with me, but I'm listening to everything you're saying, and I'm listening to everything anybody says. And there's an old cliche that a squeaky wheel gets the most oil, or the hardest drop of water wears away the biggest constant drop of water wears away the hardest stone. So I will keep on the mayor. I'll be aggravating the mayor, and I'll probably be aggravating the state's attorney if I don't hear something first of this coming week.
Can I have 5 minutes of your time?
Yes.
I'm Ben Cox. I'm from the Morgan County Libertarian Party. Now, I've got some solutions for you. Oh, okay. Mr. Davidson, you said there's no lease that's ever been signed and you've never been presented with one.
That's right.
Unfortunately, your lawmakers here don't actually read the law that they pass. It's written directly in there by law. They have to have a written lease. That's a violation of your constitutional rights. And as a libertarian, we stand up for your constitutional rights. Bubba Harsey, our state's attorney that's running at the state office, is going to be in Jacksonville on July 7th at Mulligan's. I'm going to talk to him for you and see if I can get him on your side. That's the first person. That's something I'm going to do. I'm not just going to stand up here and say, oh, I'm sorry. I've got parents who live out there. I've got 2 young children that live out there. I'm going to do something. I'm not going to stand up here and say something. That's part of what we do as libertarians. We're regular people just like you and I. I'm a college professor at Lincoln Land Community College. I'm on a fixed income too as a young person. So I know exactly what you're going through. I've got medical bills myself. I'm a 12-year cancer survivor myself. I've worked with veterans. I know Jimmy Duncan very well. And I've worked with them at Lincoln Land. And I've worked with the elderly most all my life. I helped my mother take care of my grandparents when I was younger. So when I look out here tonight, I see my friends, I see my grandparents, and I see my fellow Jacksonville citizens going through some pain right now. So that's the first thing you can do. Violation of your constitutional rights is some of the abuses that you wrote down. I was taking notes. I'm listening. So that's the first thing that they have to do. As you said, they got a 30-day notice You got 30 days, 5 days with the trailer. So that's the other thing that you have to worry about. Henry David Thoreau, a great philosopher, said, "Law never made a man just, so violate that law. Stand up to it," okay? Your city councilmen, your Republicans and Democrats are not beholden to you. I'm not beholden to them as a libertarian. I'll work with both sides if they're going to fix things for you. Mr. Davidsmeyer can get on the horn right now to your Attorney General and say, hey, this is all this property in this area has been bought up by one company. It's a foreign investor. It's a foreign investor. They want to get you out so they can develop the property. That's what they want to do. I don't know what they're going to do out there in the middle of West Central Illinois, but all they see is dollar signs all around. And Mr. Spradlin saw you as dollar signs, and he sold you up the river. You need to hold him accountable for his past abuses. If you have a contract with him, he needs to be held accountable for that contract, improvements to the property. If he did not do that, then Mr. Spradlin needs to be held accountable in a court of law for that. I am not a lawyer. Like Mr. Davidsmeyer said, he's not a lawyer either, but I can read, and this is in your law. This is in the law. You can do this. So they got to give you 90 days or to tell you that they're going to make changes. They got to give you at least a year notice if they're going to sell you. And they didn't do that. That's also a violation of your constitutional rights. You folks need to get on the horn. So I'm going to talk to another friend of mine. I won't give you his name. You probably are familiar with him. He might take this case as pro bono as well. In fact, I'm going to probably text him or call him directly after this meeting tonight. I also work with Heartland Newsfeed. I don't know if you read that website or not. I'm going to publish your story on that website tonight and tell people about what's going on here. That way everybody knows. That way you're not sold up the river when you have to pay for your medications or your medical treatment. Or you've got to choose between going and buying a loaf of bread or keeping the electric bill on. It's not right. This is an example of what's called crony capitalism, and they are taking advantage of you. And I'm hoping that some of my phone calls and my influence, which is very small, we're a third party, unfortunately, but we will be on the ballot in November. I'm not trying to get you to vote for us, but we will be there. You can come and meet me on the 7th of July too. Your gubernatorial candidate for Libertarians will be there as well. Talk to us. We're everyday people. You can find me. I'm pretty easy to find. I'll be happy to talk to you about anything, but especially on this case. This fires me up because it's going to put my kids out in the street. It's going to put my parents out in the street. And I'm going to do everything I can legally to make sure that doesn't happen to you all and to them. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
I have a question, Ron. Did you happen to have a chance to go see the Landlord Association, call them?
No, I haven't. I've been busy every day working on this.
I know. Well, can other landlords do what they did to us? If they read that that they decided they're going to raise our rent, can they do that to their people?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Any landlord, you know how ridiculous this is? Let's say that it's going to $450, okay, first year. Next year they say, you know what, let's make it $750 or $1,050. It's legal. Isn't that ridiculous? That law has to be changed. And it's just through all the efforts that I've been working on this that I'm starting to understand more and more what it takes to get it changed. It's really going to be a tough battle, and it won't be in time for us. So what we have to do, this is our only option. Well, we have one other option, and I know it's not going to, I'm sure it's not going to work. But when I sent all them papers out, on there was a 2-year lease, and then 2 years later, another 10%. 2 years later, another 10%, like I mentioned before. That gives us some time. And if they hold that, the first 2 years especially, you'll have a chance to sell your home then, if you want to move out, not wait for the big increases coming in the future years. And you can tell them that, you know, hopefully that this is what the rent's going to be, 10% more than what we're paying now. And that'll be, has to be drawn up in a contract with you, with all of us, in writing, and looked over by some attorney. You can get a local attorney to look at that, no problem. I'll probably call on Eddie Carpenter. A lot of people know him. Although Eddie told me, I went in and talked to him too. Well, I think it was last Friday, Thursday or Friday. And Eddie said, you know, I'd like to help you, but this is out of my thing. I mean, I don't handle this type of thing. You have to get a different lawyer for this. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm Chris Oldenburg. I'm here as a concerned citizen and to stand in solidarity with the good people of Prairie, Knolls, and Rolling Acres who it's clear this is an economic injustice.
Yes, it is.
And like Jonathan, I read the story in the newspaper, and I couldn't believe it, that this was happening. And I kept reading to see where this Brando and Timeout outfit was going to list the reason, right? The evidence for why they're increasing people's rent to such exorbitant amounts. And I couldn't find it anywhere. All it said was sound business. That was the reason they gave. This is sound business. Good business decisions. And I thought, this is wrong. Right? I'll tell you what good business is. A good business is a good neighbor. A good business is an ethical business. A good business looks at their clients as human beings, not as a line on a spreadsheet. Right. And that's all they care about here, is the bottom line. Right?
Here's something else you probably haven't read. This is a letter that, thank you very much. When Greg Olson wrote an article in that paper, he also sent a letter to Timeout Communities, Brando, and I mentioned, he said, what should I ask him? I said, well, ask him about, are they going to raise the rent like around the first year to $450? Well, here's the letter he wrote. I'm going to read the whole thing, because about halfway down, it really teed me off because he threatened us. This Mr. Smart. Wasn't very smart saying this. But thank you for your email. This is to Greg at the newspaper. Thank you for your email and your interest in the Prairie Knolls manufactured housing community. Timeout Communities, LLC, is excited to be in Jacksonville, Illinois, and we expect to be a good neighbor within the community for the years to come. With that said, I wanted to take this opportunity to address some of the specific questions set forth to Timeout in your email. Timeout understands that nobody likes an increase in the cost of living, but the reality is that we are a business, and a business must make sound decisions in how we operate our community. Sometimes these decisions require an increase in residential monthly rents to a current market rent that is consummated with the equally of the community being provided to the residents. This was the case in Prairie Knolls community. We are always interested in hearing the thoughts and opinions of our community residents. And the Prairie Knolls petition reference in your email is helpful to us understanding the priorities and concerns of those residents. That said, it's getting better pretty soon here. We must continue to run a sound business, whether or not our decisions and with regard to the community operations, decisions, and we would point to the previous owners. In other words, that's us folks, we're the previous owners. of our homes?
Yes. That's Jeff. That's
Well, here's, I'm gonna tell you, this owners of Prairie Knolls community has a cautionary tale of the perils that await those who ignore this maxim. So that kind of tells me they're telling all of us. All right? And timeout takes the pride in the appearance and condition of everyone in this community, making every effort to keep the lots and streets and other capital improvements within this community in their best possible condition according to their age and use. So the older homes, they're going to get nothing, right? That's what it kind of says to me. One of the nicest manufactured housing communities in the entire state of Illinois. We aim to keep it that way and constructive feedback from our residents regarding previous repair needs will be a critical component to ensuring that the quality of Prairie Knolls community remains at an exemplary level. To specifically address a repair concern alluded in your email, Timeout is unaware of any non-functioning fire hydrants. We didn't mention that tonight. We know that there's 3, and according to the water department, there's a possibility of 5 or 6 fire hydrants at Prairie Knolls that don't operate. Recently, a house burned down. Well, not all the way down, but it burned out, we'll say. And when they went to use the fire hydrant, a couple hundred feet down, it didn't work. So they called for a tank truck, and then they ran the hose down around the corner down to one that did work. If they would have had to go to the next one down and the next one down, those two didn't work. So they used the water truck, because the pressure in Prairie Knolls, if you noticed, I think everybody's in the same boat. If someone's taking a shower and someone flushes the toilet, that poor person in the shower is going to get scalded. Right? I mean, that's the way it is. A lot of people have tried to get the water pressure better. So from the water department, we're trying to get a letter. They promised a letter 2 times now. They would get it out in the mail. They haven't. So I addressed the mayor about that. I said, look, these people aren't reacting. I will talk to them and we'll get this. I said, I need it for our town hall meeting. I need this letter. We didn't get it. So that's another thing.
They want your money too.
Yeah. They want all the money first, and then they'll think about making the repairs. It depends on the age of your house. It doesn't depend on the condition. It depends on the age.
Well, what about the land they send for us to sell their homes for?
Yeah.
Or a Walmart. I don't have anything against Walmart. I go there all the time. But I'm not going to sell a home here.
No, you don't want to sell a home to him because that's another moneymaker for you. Now he has a home there that he can rent out. Anyway, you won't get much for your home either.
If I can make just one suggestion. When Jonathan was here, I believe he said there are 10 churches that are listening and taking up this cause. If you have a hard time getting an attorney pro bono, I would ask that maybe these churches take up a collection for your cause.
I thought about that.
And get a legal fund started. At least, enough to maybe get an attorney to take a retainer and look at it.
Well, the other problem too is this is Jacksonville. Everybody knows everybody, everybody pats everybody else on the back. So I'm pretty sure if we get a lawyer, he's going to be out of Springfield.
Yeah.
Or Peoria, or any place but here.
We don't have much time around.
You know what? A lot of lawyers there's ambulance chasers, there's all different. If you look in the telephone book, all these lawyers are specialists today. They handle certain type of cases, DUIs, stuff like that, or like I said, if you've been injured in an automobile accident, you don't have to pay us anything unless we win. Well, that's what a lot of them are. So you have to find someone who specializes in tenant and landlord disputes. That's what I was told. Land of Lincoln, by the way, sent me a brochure, but before I even got the brochure, they said, well, we think we have two lawyers that you could contact that specialize in this. I said, oh, great. So he gave me the name of the 2 lawyers. And the first one I called, he says, why did they give you my name? I retired 6 months ago. And so I called back and I said, this lawyer you gave me, he retired like 6 months ago. Well, gee, we're sorry. We got one other one though that's on that list. So we have 2 that's on the list altogether. So I guess we have to find someone else to take his place. Okay. So she gave me the name of another lawyer. I called him and he says, hey, I'm just packing up everything. I'm retiring. I'm going to Florida 2 more weeks. I'm gone. So they couldn't help me. So it's like pulling hen's teeth, finding a lawyer, that will handle that type of case. That's a specialty. Like you go to eye, ear, and nose doctor and say, boy, I got something wrong with my foot. Well, we don't take feet. No, we just work on, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, whatever. So, yeah, it's a specialty. Everybody's a specialist today. And that being a specialist, you can ask for more money, right? So, anyway, I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep at it Monday. I'm going to keep on the mayor, since he made a commitment to me to get all these lawyers, and I'm just going to say, Mayor, if you're too busy, please give me the names, and I'll see if they will see me and get this thing rolling. But I thought it'd be more power if he used these 2 attorneys before, and no charge in cases. So if he asked them, which he's done, but they haven't returned the call last time I talked to the mayor. So, but that was like 6-7 days that I saw him again. And that was at that council meeting last week. So, I wish I had more encouragement to give you, but I wanted to the reason I invited all you people here, I wanted to let you know what's going on and what we're trying to get accomplished. And,
can't wait anymore for waiting.
Yeah, I know. We've got 1 month. The deadline, a little over a month, but this is, 4th of July coming up and all that good stuff.
What? Do we wait until the night before August 1? You can't do that.
Well,
Are we going to take our 365 out to the office then?
It's a good question, but I think that we should pay the old rent. I wouldn't do that because they got access to your account. And you'd be surprised what, they probably have about 50 lawyers working for them or more because they own 51 to 54 companies. I'm not sure.
Well, on any ACH, put through a bank, you have the option to go in and sign an as written statement under perjury. And you can send back any amount that you disagree with that was taken out of your account. So you talk to your bank before you do it.
Yeah.
What'd she say? You have legal rights anytime anything is taken out of your account.
Right.
Sign a form and say, no, I do not authorize this. But you talk to your bank because there is not that line that says that you can take out anything. But there's also, you can do it for the reason of the amount is not correct, the date is not correct. Because they're all logically on the statement, with the doctrine that the old term, written statement of a penalty of perjury.
Well, I feel like I was really used because I signed up for it to come out of my check. The old rate, the week before I got the letter about the raise. So they had my signature saying take out 240.
You can contact the business that say you do not want to take it out of your account, and then you contact your bank and say, I have stopped this being allowed to come out.
Yeah. Tell them they can't take any more than 240.
There may be a charge at
Well, they're supposed to only allow 240, because that's what I wrote on the form, 240, because that's what my rent was.
You have a legal, just don't let anything go. Just make sure. Here's another bit of advice. I don't think I mentioned this. Anytime you go down there to Jeff's office to pay your rent, get a written receipt. They told my wife, she just paid yesterday, that they're not going to give receipts anymore. Bull. You have to get a receipt. Not, she said, the lady there said, oh, well, you got your canceled checks. No, because here's what they can do. They can take that check and say you're not getting a receipt, and then also they can say, wait, you might have wrote a check, but we don't have your check. We can't find any check here with your name on it. And it's 5 days have passed, and you're overdue. So you better write another check. I mean, you gotta have protection. You cannot trust Jess. We all know that.
We invite Jess to the next meeting so he can hear all our history.
You won't show up.
He ain't gonna show up. How many times lately have you seen his car parked there? He's never there anymore.
We have to hold him accountable. He's just got a name.
He's not in Florida, he couldn't get by my house today.
Okay, I have a question to ask Danny here, and I'll see what his answer is. Then I'll make another announcement. If I get a petition going, it'll hit the newspaper, okay? For friends and people who live in Jacksonville and surrounding area who want to sign a petition to help us not get evicted, get our rent done. Could you have that at the American Legion? Anybody walks in, maybe at the bar or something, they can sign that?
Yep, anytime afternoon.
Afternoon?
Yep.
How many days a week?
7 days a week.
Cool. Okay, I just got one announcement here left, and that pretty much wrap up the meeting, I think. But what I'm going to do is put in the newspaper an article that there will be a petition for the other residents of Jacksonville and friends and relatives of the people who live in these parks, including Woodson and all the rest of them. Actually, Woodson, I think they got 7 people left. It's a ghost town over there. But this petition will be at the American Legion for anybody can stop in there and sign it. Not us, but we've already signed the petition. But anybody else, friends, you got friends, neighbors, acquaintance, your doctor, your dentist, whoever, anybody can come in there and sign that petition from 12 o'clock noon. They open every day, 7 days a week. And the only thing that's open there mainly is the slots, the poker slots machines, and the bar. And the lady there behind the bar is a very nice person, and she will have the petitions laying there, and your friends can sign that. There's some more numbers, so more people to help. In the meantime, I'm going to keep on banging away at these people up at the city council, and the mayor and all them, and see what I can get going, okay? Thank you very much.
We'll try to end on a little humorous note, okay? Somebody sent me a little thing, I can't say the words, but I'll change it around. It basically says, don't make old people mad. The older they get, the less life in prison seems as a deterrent. You mess with us, we can do 5 years, 3 hots in a cot, and clean clothes every day. So, old people, life in prison don't mean a lot to us. Okay? Folks, have a nice night. Stay informed.